Hello parents! Today I come to you with activity number 4. I hope you're doing good in quarantine, and this activity is pretty much a no-brainer, but I think it's very important at this time. It's always important to speak to your children every day, talking to them about how their day was, how their friends were, how play was. Sometimes they answer and sometimes they just don't want to answer. But at this time, especially in a time of crisis, and you are probably talking about the virus at home with your better half or your parents or parents-in-law, and the children are watching all this. So I think it's very important that you set the right tone at home, especially if you live in a multiracial country like I do in Singapore. There's no point in pointing fingers. It's absolutely stupid to say or condemn the Chinese. They went through the same thing as the rest of the world is going through now. So I think it's very important you set the right tone at home when you're talking to your children. For some reason, they think it's okay to say, "Oh, look at what the Chinese did to us." Well, I think that's truly terribly unfair. The blame is on the virus. Yes, it did start in China, but they lost lives and the whole world is losing lives. So as a parent, it's very important for you to stop stigmatizing against a particular section or a particular society or a particular country, and that is very important, and you have the power to put the seed of right thought in your children's minds. So it's up to you, folks. So, coming to today's activity is a lovely activity that I actually got from one of Coven's books, which talks about feelings. And for feelings, it's a sit-down activity. Usually children, when you prompt them to talk about their feelings, especially if they're older kids, and if they're teenagers, forget it. Nobody wants to talk about their feelings. I never did. But if you sit down and tell your kids how you feel about the pandemic, how you feel about what's going on, that gives you an entry to ask them, well, this is how I feel. What do you feel? Or what do your friends feel? And I think it's important to talk about feelings. Now, for babies, it's too early to talk about feelings, right? Level 1 of the activity, like I like to say. Level 1 would be put yourself and your baby in front of the mirror and then call out an emotion like anger and then show an angry face. And then call out happiness and show a happy face. Sadness and horror and shock and fear. With your baby, it's easy to do these emotions, and then later on you can ask your baby when they're feeling frustrated or cranky throughout the day, how do you feel now? And you make a game out of it, so they mimic the expression on your face. Now, bilingual bonus. Here's where it gets interesting, because then you can call out the emotion in your language, you can call out the emotion in English. And I have noticed that many times I don't know the equivalent of a particular emotion in my own language, and I've noticed that some words just don't translate well from my mother tongue to English. So this is a great way to bring out the range of emotions. So for level 2, try to think about all the different kinds of emotions and do the emoji game. Now, level 3 of this activity would be to ask your child how they feel about their friends. Now, this is a really interesting part because you can prompt them with questions like, what do you think is the most special thing about your friend, Jack or Peter? Or what do you think is the most important thing about Amma? What's the most special thing about? And you will get some really remarkable answers. For example, my son, when I asked him about our neighbor, she is the most honest person I know, and she never lies. Now, this was a revelation for me that he was able to appreciate this, And in a time like this, I think it's important to appreciate everyone around us. So that's the end for today's activities, folks. But tomorrow I will meet you with a special bonus activity because it's Kavin's idea. Yeah? Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.